my current settings, and like hopefully it successfully uploads like the VOD. I'm planning on uploading it to YouTube as well, cause it's like lazily leveraging Twitch services or like some of their services in a good way, that is hopefully profitable. So like therefore good for business, essentially. And I like philosophy, so I'm probably just gonna be like philosophizing the whole time, I guess, when I'm speaking potentially. And in terms of like good for business and profitability, I feel like profitability is good when it applies to business. Like if you've seen some of my other content, like you probably know what I mean by profitable. In terms of like profitable, like you can get more fit that way. It's like supportive of that notion of growing more fit. Therefore, it's like this the opportunity's there. Should you accept it? Should you want to grow healthier, then you can use it intelligently and responsibly in a way that is honest and ultimately, I guess, this can go out. Mic check, mic check. Yeah, maybe that's better. Mic check, mic check. Yeah, I think that's probably chill. I feel like, to be honest, I don't know. Yeah, I'll probably post on X that I'm streaming. I was just saying, like, maybe there's no point in advertising on X that I'm streaming. Now I'm just thinking, like, as a business owner, you want to be investing a decent amount into marketing. And so, in terms of energy expenditure, I don't have a robot writing my express for me, so that's energy expended, that's an investment. And sharing is caring is basically what got me to do that, so that's true. Like the saying, the axiom. This is a pretty chill grind spot, I think, to be honest. It's like, I upgraded my weapon recently, and the DPS boost is nice here, and it's like, pretty nice how I'm here now. Because I was at Ronar, so like, the XP slow there, the mobs are kinda alright, they're a bit annoying, let's be honest. I don't know, they're alright. They don't have much stun lock, like some amount, maybe. I think they have like knockdown, maybe. Anyways, I had a Narshalan, like short sword, I think, before this one, which is like, I think it's like a god sword or something like that. It's like Godir Aid short sword. It was like 3 bill or like 4 bill, 5 bill, I don't know. I've bought books in this game, and they were like 3 bill or something, 5 bill, 3 bill. I don't know, all up, I think. I was like not even really sure how to use them, and I read them, and I theorized like the information went in. So like I read this book a while ago, and like I've had some other material in terms of music theory resources I've purchased online, and like I feel like the information goes in there, and I feel like theorization, you know, it's like developing software. It happens away from the keyboard, and it makes sense that, you know, when you have an epiphany, like, this is probably like a good thing, and it probably took time, you know? So, in terms of like, you know, going to sit at a keyboard at the scheduled time, and like with the intention of like banging out code to write a quality software project, I just feel like maybe that's not actually how value gets captured. Like, maybe you can make a software system that way. It's just like in terms of security, like, you know, if you're forcing a product and the developers aren't naturally motivated to write their product from an inspiration standpoint, their system, you know, corners are probably going to be cut, like, you know what I mean? And like laziness and complacency and leniency creeps into it. So that's like a technical debt, really. It's a psychologically influenced technical debt. And, you know, it's just like ethics and philosophy. I feel like, you know, you can build a software system. It's just like, does it matter? And like, in terms of does that matter, you think about like the systems, like say a developer has developed, like they actually have been developed, they exist, so they do matter because they are actually things that are complete already. It's like kind of the challenge of writing software. It's like, how do you develop complete systems? And like, how do you do that effectively, and what strategies can you use to do that? So I have theories on the subject. Like, I feel like you want to take notes a lot. You want to take notes actively. And, you know, as business people, like I posit we're all business people. Like, the universe is holistic. So our learning is probably holistic as well. In terms of our areas of expertise, it's like, you know, I just feel like that doesn't stop you from being interested in the things you're naturally interested in. So it makes sense that learning things can help you learn other things in interesting ways often. And the kind of amalgamation of skills somebody has and the life experience plus wisdom that people may have, like, can influence their probably interpretation of the same stimulus that another person may interpret differently. So I feel like this makes me think of what I was talking about earlier today in a log in regards to scholars and how they learn effectively from others. Basically, it's like, you know, you live and you learn, so it makes sense probably to learn from other people who have lived, and it's like really good for the economy because there's a lot of good business that can happen. You know, like paying people to teach you things is like a pretty fair transaction. I mean, I feel like, you know, now I want to talk about price psychology and how people basically pay you what they feel is a good amount because they like are in the position to do that, and it probably is like emotionally positive as well, essentially. Now I'm just thinking about manipulative people who use money in manipulative ways. I just feel like philosophically I haven't really thought about this, so I want to use reason now to think about it and analyze it essentially. So I actually honestly believe, like as an intellectual, that reality fundamentally may be positive in nature. So just by the way, like intellectualizing this right now is good business in my eyes because it helps me to refine my theories, and it's chill because I'm leveraging IT lazily and it's like probably competitively and effectively. Plus like wealthiness and abundance. I guess streamline matters in this equation, like as a positive auto suggestion, because in terms of efficiency and optimality, I feel like naturally doing what is easiest and most enjoyable to you is probably healthiness and wealthiness in terms of auto hypnosis and positive auto suggestion. Like to explain that, I feel like it helps to align with reality when you use auto hypnosis, and reality is positive in nature. I feel like what I was saying fundamentally. So positive auto suggestion makes good sense, and I feel like you know it's farcical. Some people, like fake scientists, pseudoscientists, they act like so dismissive of hypnosis and the positive nature of positive auto suggestion, and they're so dismissive of it. And the same people maybe probably think that dreaming is just a product of the mind. Like I feel like often maybe I'm generalizing. I just feel like generalizing is a good way to reason about things. Let's be honest, and I think linguistic reasoning is a good way to reason about things as well. I feel like generalizing is a good way to reason about things ontologically and philosophically. And stereotyping is like kind of a superficial form of, I guess, it's a conclusion. I'd say that, well, it's something that is probably it results, maybe stereotyping results from having certain conclusions. And just to like analyze, maybe like I have had this theory about racists. Like these people don't actually believe in what they're socially expressing. They just do it to exert and establish control, or like to establish control and hold control. So they're basically doing it as a taunting strategy and a goading strategy. Like I honestly feel like it's like that. I feel like fundamentally they're resorting to I'm not gonna call it a strategy or a tactic. I'm gonna call it like a technique of taunting and goading in a way that makes people susceptible to suggestion, and that is in the same vein as repression, oppression, suppression, testimonial smothering, like being framed, like all that shit. Like it's pretty like superfluous and superficial. Like I was thinking about how justice may actually exist. Like I feel like Aristotle and Socrates or were like they are still significant, and I feel like justice really kind of makes sense in a philosophical sense. So I think jurisprudence is definitely something interesting to me as a subject, just given the nature of philosophy plus reason and logic plus rationalization, like reasoning, rational thinking, So I feel like what we have with, like, say, the criminal justice system in New Zealand in regards to laws and things like this, I feel like it's probably so, like, it's all an interpretation, or it's established based on certain interpretations of justice. And so, in terms of 100% certain, like, I just don't feel like we are actually 100% certain on our ethics and philosophy and ontology to be okay societally with the capital punishment. And I feel like certain things in society suffer from oversights and making assumptions that are born from self-elevation in terms of looking down at animals and like pretending we're something that we're not, in terms of like arbitrary and superficiality. For example, psychiatry, and how the only unnatural like illness or like unnatural maybe sickness in psychiatry are the psychiatrists diagnosing people. Like it's not normal for one group of people to go around being like, no, this other person's sick, let's fucking treat them poorly, like, you know, forced hospitalization, that's like foul play, like, you know, horseplay or something, foul play. And like, if nobody talks about ethics and justice in society, you know, change isn't gonna occur. And I feel like ultimately, you know, honesty is really the best policy, because I mean, if it's a numbers game in terms of like competition and dominance, like resources, you know, comes into the equation. And I mean, breathing oxygen's pretty abundant on Earth, like luckily, you know, lucky me, like I'm an oxygen breathing mammal, so I'm pretty stoked to live in the planet with an atmosphere that has a lot of oxygen, let's be honest. So I feel like emotion is also natural, just as natural as breathing for me. Given my existence, I feel like speaking honestly is actually really economically competitive, and so is using IT in the way I'm using it right now. So I'm pretty okay with that, and I feel like ethical dominance may be a thing, and virtuous businesses may be a thing. And I think I've been thinking about it recently. Like, I think my conclusion in regards to a certain like thing I had been thinking about, like, I feel like virtue is inherently positive and oriented with good, essentially. I mean, what I was thinking, like, the premise was like, maybe psychiatry gets away with forced hospitalization and coercively forced medication because of virtue, basically. Like, brute force virtue, like heavy-handed virtue, like tough love type of virtue. It's like, given the situation, given the context, given history, given reality, and just how things are, like happenstance, like the forces that be, like psychiatry and everyone involved in enforcing the Mental Health Act and like forced hospitalization and, you know, the treatment of patients, like, I just feel like honestly that psychiatry has a positive protective effect, and it's like a protective effect, and it's heavy-handed though. Like yes, they are right to want to heal these people who they treat. It's just like there's better ways to do that than forced hospitalization and coercively forced medication. I feel like essentially the heavy-handedness is the like police, and like I was punched and put in handcuffs multiple times and like bashed with a shield and like other shit. And like Mental Health Act, like forced hospitalization, like I've been sectioned under the Mental Health Act like 5 or 6 times or something. I don't know, more than that, depending on like the renewal, the court renewals. They just don't want to let me go because they understand that I just have a problem with the forced hospitalization and coercive medication, and they know I like mushrooms, magic mushrooms, and cannabis. And I just honestly feel like ethics and virtue ought to take precedence, and honestly, punishing people for enjoying mushrooms and cannabis, that's got to be a crime. Like, honestly, if you are a serious intellectual and you care about virtue and intellect and intelligence, like philosophy, reason, it has to be like, unless you've got your head up your ass or something. So I feel like the heavy-handedness is all that, and I feel like the virtue is that at the end of the fucking ordeal, what the psychiatrists are treating, I posit, are upset, distressed individuals who are suffering because of environmental bad actors, like threat actors, like malicious threat actors, like people infiltrating communities and segregating communities, wanting to divide and conquer communities. It's related to cyberbullying, it's related to cyberstalking, harassment, like psychological inflicted distress, like intentionally inflicted distress, like all these things. Like, I feel like the people that get treated by psychiatrists are people who have activated substantia nigra's. I think you say that they. And as far as I know, that it's like a dopaminergic um, faculty part of the brain, like component of the brain. I don't know if it's just like one area. Like in terms of naming, it's a region maybe. I don't know. Anyways, what I posit is that these bad actors, these malicious threat actors, I call them psychological threat actors or metaphysical threat actors because they're not exactly attacking computers, they're attacking your psychology and your neurology, your biology. Basically what they do is they harass you with like cars and choppers and trucks, like any assets that they can get their hands on that are vibrationally impactful. And they intentionally act in a way to maximize the amount of emotional and physiological distress they can inflict upon you, and they just harass you that way. And it's like social engineering, except they optimize perturbing your nerves so as to get your endocrine and your substantia nigra all hopped up and doped up. And then you get people who get the Mental Health Act, like, you know, who get sectioned under the Mental Health Act, because they're flipping their wig or their wit or whatever, they're losing their shit because of these malicious threat actors. And in my eyes, like, I'm speaking from experience, what I did was pretty low level. Like, I just wanted to hit the pavement and just exert energy so as to find a way to prevent these cyber criminals from further tormenting me. And that's like honestly how I view things. And the cyber criminal aspect, like, just look at the economy and look at cybercrime and look at the technical fouls, like punishing people for enjoying cannabis and magic mushrooms, and the GDP is suffering and people are suffering and there's a whole lot of jobs needed and people don't want to work in exploitative roles. Like, get real, like, people have lives and emotions and feelings, like, you know. So I just feel like, you know, why is drinking culture so fucking predominant? Like, you know, and fucking tobacco and like fucking vapes and shit, you know. It's like, why are all the groovy hipster fucking cool hip hop fucking local psychedelic rock talent, like hip hoppers, MCs, like groovy stoner cafe type places, you know, where we can enjoy like a little cube of hash and psilocybin cubensis and like cannabis plus great coffee and great company and like great venues, like places, and, you know, New Zealand. It's like, cultivate the GDP, like greenery, you know. Happy people, productive people, improve the GDP, improve people's lives at the same time, because that's good business, you know. Yeah, I don't know, like 110%. So, like, I don't know, I guess making money via like streaming and my YouTube channel plus TikTok and Snapchat, like, I don't know. In terms of auto hypnosis and like positive auto suggestion, they reckon just keep engaging with the things intellectually in your mind in terms of thinking that you care about and like relate to it with positive emotion and make new connections, new memories relating to just positive experiences associated with things that align with like why you want to do what you are like basically hypnotizing yourself to feel more positively about and to relate differently and like neurons that fire together or wire together. So it's like basically that notion of the way your brain activates influences the way you feel and it changes your perception of things. It's like the hungry judge notion. It's like, you know, having a first date be a coffee or like a great day at the beach, probably ice cream at the beach, like on a sunny day. For example, it's that warmth apparently that makes people relate more positively. It's like to the date or the person you're with, you know, for example. It's like, you know, a great day with great music or like just a great day in a great city. You know, probably chances are the mood is like more positive than a day that is not as sunny and bright and things. For example. So, I'm just gonna be honest, like, if I was to really go streaming a go, I'd probably stream like at least 3 hours at a time. And just view that as like a hustle and like add that to one of the hustles I can do on the grind. In terms of businesses 24/7 and ain't nothing wrong, just hip hop all day long, like Hypnotis, you know, for example. So in terms of VNZ, join my guild VNZ. I named my guild in Black Desert VNZ as well, like named after my business. It's like micro marketing. I've like said this before. It's pretty chill. I feel like. I was wanting to play Halo. The queue time said like 4 minutes something, like 4 minutes 12. So, maybe I'll do that in 10 minutes. Which one's the pet key? If not. You're fine. It's chill. It's okay. You're fine. I was just thinking about grinding shurikens and like fuck that place though. The knockdown. Something I want to experiment more with is like positive auto-suggestion in the sense of writing what some people call like manifestation scripts. So like positive auto-suggestions that are based in the past, like you've already attained your goals, and just like writing like at least 3 paragraphs about it that you know is in that context. I feel like auto-hypnotically that's useful, and so it's logical too, I feel like. So may as well experiment with it like a scientist. May as well. Also, in the same vein, I was reading recently on a hypnotherapist's site. I learned he was a New Zealand hypnotherapist, which is chill. Like, I don't know if I just learned that last night or I figured that out a while ago. Anyways, this person was saying that, like, you can write a note or, like, some amount of sentences, like a paragraph, about what you want to do in your dreams tonight, or like in a particular dream, and it's like scripting your dream. And I believe that practice works, and I've had success lucid dreaming using mnemonic induced lucid dreaming and like wake back to bed, as well as just wake induced lucid dreaming as well. I've had success in those areas, and I've had some amount of success in experimenting with like perpetuating the dream and like stabilizing the dream. So yeah, anyways, using auto suggestion and dreaming, it's like very synergistic. Providing you attain lucidity, or if that's like something everybody does and it's a matter of like getting around the kind of amnesia inducing parts of your mind that make you forget those experiences or like block out those experiences, then maybe you can prioritize learning potentially in your lucid dreams and experiment scientifically. I feel like when you're dreaming, your mind is in a freed up kind of state, whereas like attuned to itself in a resonant biofeedback feedback kind of way, essentially. So I feel like fundamentally you can use lucid dreaming to experiment inside of, like, well, using lucid dreams to experiment inside of in a useful way, providing you can basically have the experiences you gain and those states influence, like, say, the art that you make, for example, or change your behavior in a meaningful way that has positive repercussions in existence. I feel like I've had like interesting experiences with dreams, like maybe lucid dreams, maybe like hyperphysical dreams that were more like kind of autopilot. In my experience, when you want to domineer the dream too much, it like breaks down. It's like more like you're surfing. I feel like is the way to look at it. Maybe like I've had success freestyling, like rapping, like hip hop, freestyling in my dreams, lucid dreams, or like dreams that I'm gently like rowing my boat along in terms of surfing or like freestyling. And I was literally like bunny hopping, like gliding at like pretty fast pace, like real low G, and freestyling the whole time. And what it was doing was stabilizing the dream, and it was like just a fun way to intellectualize myself. It's kind of what I do these days, using like I call it auto hypnosis, like just in case hypno RPG, don't psychiatry me, bro. So I feel like ultimately lucid dreaming is definitely a research interest for me. And it's been this way since my undergrad. I feel like maybe before that, maybe like towards the end of high school. Like I remember finding a book by like Stephen Wagner, I think it was, on lucid dreaming and pathways to the inner self or something like that. And it mentioned DMT and stuff. Anyways, these lucid dream books, like, yeah, pretty interesting to me at the time, and the subject is pretty interesting to me now. I feel like, yeah, like I just am so hopeful for humanity in terms of scientifically fully understanding the capacity for lucid dreaming and integrating that into our society technologically, thanks to gaining an understanding that is based on understood wisdom, in the sense that science has to understand things to successfully develop technologies that utilize techniques that stem from episteme that has been acquired or is commonly accepted in terms of societally, and is therefore like a resource to be used to inform design directions or future research experiment directions, for example, or technological design. Like, it's kind of interesting to consider that, you know, maybe the world is like a stage, like Shakespeare said or whatever, and we're all actors. So hypno RPG is like basically a way to gamify that model, and I just feel like maybe in terms of a triune model, like you can have life at the base, and then you have business, and then in the business, like on top of the business layer, you have hypno RPG, and it's like an increasing layer of abstraction, like each layer. And the more abstract you get, the more augmentative and cyber things become. And so basically I established earlier this morning that hypno RPG is like a way to utilize your mind's imagination and ability to hypnotize itself, plus the ability to dream, in a way that allows you to create fictional spaces that are more imaginal, that allow you to utilize reasoning in a way that lets you test out ontological perspectives that may or may not be optimal in an entertaining way that is like a simulation environment, essentially. And I feel like this is a logical way to leverage auto-hypnosis along with the imagination and lucid dreaming, like the brain basically, and your understanding of it. It's kind of like what I think about in terms of subjects and things of that nature. It's like language. It's like, it's really all energy really, and that's like probably as accurate as you can be in terms of like subjects are words that represent, I guess, like given everything's energy, certain kinds of energy, types of energy that relates to one another, and like you can make generalizations and definitions, and you can group things cognitively and talk about them using language. It's all energy, so it's useful if you actually analyze that. It's like, imagine a fish, you know, in a pond, a big pond, and there's like different landmarks, like this tree for example, and like this hut over here for example, this other tree. And like, if you're a fish swimming around and you don't have words, like maybe it's all like, you know, kind of it's maybe there's no awareness there, and then maybe you suddenly realize like, oh, words exist and you can use words in a certain way. Then it's like all of a sudden you have consciousness and agency and the ability to make decisions. So I feel like in terms of consciousness and psychology, I feel like really it's interesting to consider that maybe a psychology is really all that is required for sentience. And then I guess like a research question along those lines is like, what are the core requisites for a psychology, and then you can examine that, I suppose. So like in terms of the core requisites for a psychology, I feel like maybe biology is required, and like, you tell me, is your desktop computer or your smartphone, for example, are they technical organisms, like techno-organisms? Technoids, like, possibly, organs, boundaries, cases, components, hearts, organs, organisms, techno-organisms, you know? So, I just feel like maybe it makes sense to develop a psychology for computers, and maybe it is a matter of like basically I have this theory of software. Like good software already exists in the form of like pen and paper processes, or like just processes that metaphysically exist. So when you're writing good software, what you're doing is formalizing processes, capturing them in software requirements in terms of the way you've expressed them via the programming language you've decided to utilize to express them, providing you chose a computer language, a programming language to do that. And I feel like it's a matter of that kind of like, it's like kind of research and learning and wisdom plus like ignorance and knowledge and like understanding, perception, light. It's like nothing new under the sun. It's more like archaeology in terms of like shining a light on reality so you can perceive it as so, and that's what learning basically is. It's not really like acquiring something new. It's like seeing and perceiving and establishing the neurology to revisit that way of perceiving reality so you can readily integrate that and like use that to make decisions optimally, as is optimal, I posit, or as is natural, which I posit equates to optimal, essentially, rather. Anyway, like, I don't know if anybody's gonna watch this, like, maybe, I feel like, potentially I'm going to at a later point in time. So I'm pretty chill with that. And it's kind of like what helped me to develop the software I offer on BeyondZ.xyz, or that BeyondZ offers on BeyondZ.xyz, I suppose you can say. It like fundamentally was developed to satisfy a real demand, like my demand for it. And so maybe that's a way to capture value. Like, if you develop a software system assuming what your target demographic wants, is that really a demand that you're satisfying in terms of supplying for that demand, like writing code, like developing software systems for that demand? Because it's kind of like an assumption that you're supplying for, and that's kind of detraction from reality, I feel like. And if you're building for yourself, that's a definite demand that you're supplying along those lines. I feel like I'm gonna play Halo. So like, I feel like in terms of optimality, I feel like breathing oxygen is pretty optimal for mammals, I guess. Like, autohypnosis is for anything with a psychology. Speaking of which, I made this like AI agent. I guess it's like the model name is F41B. I called mine Gwynny. You can name yours anything. It's 10k NZD each. It's like an AI agent that processes words and stores it in a knowledge base. And it's based on my theory. It's like semi-syntactic AI theory of language. Statistic syntactical AI theory of language. And it's pretty chill. I like using it. It's nice. You can like role play and like use it in a certain way. Basically, I started talking about it because you can feed it auto suggestions. That's how I'd like sell the product to people who are interested in it. Like, I'd be like role play with it, like treat it like something. Like, you can give it a name and feed it auto suggestions as the way to interface with it. And it's interesting what happens when you do that. It's like a logical, natural, optimal way to communicate. And I feel like maybe honestly hypnosis is an advanced communication strategy, and it makes sense to use it automatically, I suppose. I feel like, and just in case, like, Hypno RPG don't psychiatry me, bro. Like, to be honest, as well. I feel like. So, yeah. Anyways, in terms of Halo, maybe I'll have one match and then end this VOD, upload it to YouTube, and maybe I'll stream more later. I just feel like maybe I'll stream more because it's like actually competitive in terms of good business. Like, I'm being more serious about saving and budgeting these days because I want to grow rich and wealthier in a way that's aligned with good business and ethics plus my philosophy of life. So that's part of it. And a part of that is like using IT strategically. And a part of that is playing video games. And Twitch is pretty ill. So maybe I'll stream more. And like I don't even really know, like, yes, I'd like to build a viewership. Yes, I'd like to make money as a streamer in one regard, like as one revenue stream or source of income. I just feel like ultimately, I don't need to do anything, I feel like, besides be honest to myself first and foremost. And a part of that is emotionally, honestly expressing myself, like as I was saying. And so I just feel like, quite honestly, auto hypnosis checks out. I don't know what else to say. Like, auto hypnosis. I'm probably gonna restart the stream cause it'll mean like a new VOD. So be right back.